All right, you ready, Tyler? Mm-hmm. What's going on, sports fans? This is Jake Waxman.
And Tyler Lavalette.
Coming to you here live from the studio in Waterford with another Friday Roundtable. Summer may be coming to an end, but baseball's still going. So, once again, that's where we'll begin.
Absolutely. First, let's start with the Tigers. Things have not been well as of lately. They still have the lead against the Cleveland Guardians, but got swept embarrassingly these past 3 games. And the team has not been doing pretty well lately. We had a recent road trip and only won 2 games, and one game against the Yankees and one game against the Marlins. And now we're heading into a game against the Atlanta Braves. The series against the Atlanta Braves for the final home stand this weekend. I honestly don't like how things are going for the team right now. Things are not looking good for the Tigers.
Bit of a tailspin for the Detroit Tigers heading into the October.
And honestly, it has not been good ever since prior to the All-Star break into July. But even then, it was good that we had all those wins. But right now, things are starting to get a little uncomfortable. Luckily, the Atlanta Braves are not in contention for the division in the NL East. And we'll get into the teams that have made the playoffs in a couple seconds. But even still, I don't want to count any team out whatsoever. Even bottom feeder teams have caused problems for us, apparently. So we'll see how it goes.
And of course, Tyler, if I remember correctly, you said you and I were talking about baseball or the AL a few days ago, and you mentioned that no one in the American League had clinched a spot in the playoffs. Has that changed since we last talked about that?
As far as I'm aware, no. The only 3 teams that have clinched are the Milwaukee Brewers and in the National League Central, the NL East team has been clinched by the Philadelphia Phillies. Those 2 are likely going to have the buys in the NL side of the bracket. The Cubs have clinched a wild card spot, and I imagine other teams like the Mets are also in contention. The NL West looks to be an interesting match between the Dodgers and the Padres going down to the wire, but we'll see how it is. I have not seen any clinching successes on the AL side as of late.
And eventually, as the games start, or as more and more games are playing, and we start winding down to with 5 games to go, and say the race in the AL, there'll be a much more clinching scenarios. The thing is, I'm not concerned about the Detroit Tigers missing the playoffs. They've won enough games. Eventually, they'll clinch their spot. And what Tyler told me a few days ago, it shocked me. I thought the Tigers would have clinched a spot by now, but obviously, as Tyler mentioned, they're in a bit of on the struggle bus right now. A couple of different reasons why, mostly beyond my understanding, as I'm more of a Cubs fan, but
at least you don't understand why the Cubs have been doing pretty okay. But yeah, what could help out is that the Guardians have to play 4 in Minnesota this weekend, 2, including 2 with one involving a postponed game earlier in the year. So that could help the Tigers out if things fall a certain way. But we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Yes, we will. And here, they just got to have a meeting or a locker room meeting, do whatever they need to do, come together and say, hey, guys, we've been playing tremendous baseball all year long. Sometimes things like this happen, even at the end of the long grind that is the regular season. Let's just get back to what we know how to do as a baseball team, do the things we do best, focus on it one game at a time. All right, the Tigers are going to be in the playoffs, all right? I'm not worried about that. Right now, the thing everybody's concerned about is, can they do damage once they get into the playoffs? And with the way they've been playing, it's understandable why fans like Tyler over here are really, really concerned.
That we are. Now, I'd like to point out that we could have the Blue Jays clinch tonight, be the first team on the AL side. So we'll finally have that side of the bracket start to get filled out. So we'll see. We'll definitely know that for a fact.
Well, in that case, call me a little impatient, but about time somebody in the AL locked up a playoff spot. I mean, the Cubs, as of right now, they have about. Now, speaking of the Chicago Cubs, they have about 6 games left right now. And of course, as Tyler Lavalette mentioned, they're in the postseason with 88 wins total on the year so far. But regardless, they're at the very least going to be a wild card team. I don't think they're going to win the NL Central. I think Milwaukee's 6 games ahead. That's just too far, really, to overcome that distance. I think Milwaukee is going to be celebrating a division crown this before the postseason.
Oh, absolutely.
But
the concern might be if they get the top spot from the Phillies in the between the buys in terms of who might have the better path to the World Series on the NL side and home field advantage, but we'll see. The team may be struggling a little on the overall NL race side of things, but I still see the Brewers being good enough to still get one of the 2 buys. The Tigers, I'm a little concerned about, but like I said, we got time to figure things out. We'll see.
Yep. You know what? That's the thing. I talked about this in my Wax on Wednesday vlog. Okay? Don't worry about getting the division crown because, yeah, a division crown helps make your path to the World Series a little easier, but it doesn't guarantee that you're going to get there. The thing is, once we get to October, whoever's in October, it's anyone's game. All right? Whoever's playing the best baseball in October, that's who's going to make the run. And you know what? The question is, who are the teams that really are going to step up and show off what they've got? Can the Cubs be one of those teams? Can the Tigers, despite their struggles, can they be one of those teams? You just never know. And the thing with the Cubs is, okay, what worries me is the bullpen. The bullpen has been problematic for the Cubs all season long. Of course, recently they've gotten things together a little bit. Offense has been magnificent for the Cubs. Couldn't be any happier about that. But October, it's a whole different ball game. Whole different set of 9 innings.
Not to mention, you don't have extra runners on base in the extra innings. You don't have the ghost runner. On the NL side, another team, I mentioned the Phillies. They're one to really watch out for. There's a lot of talk that this could be a year if they finally win the World Series. With guys like Harper being good, Kyle Schwarber also hitting bombs, Trey Turner doing good, Brandon Morris as well. Johan Duran had been lights out in saved opportunities ever since he was traded by the Twins. There's a lot of good. That team has some good potential. That team is why one long-time nickname for the Phillies is called the Fightin' Phils for a reason.
Absolutely. I concur with Tyler Lavalette on this. The Phillies, I do think, could be one of those teams. They got at the very least, in my opinion, they're one of the favorites to make a run towards the World Series, if not win the whole thing. And the Brewers too. I think the Brewers are also really, really good.
Yeah,
it pains me to admit this as a Cubs fan, but they are really, really good. But
they're improving. That they didn't need Craig Counsell.
That they didn't.
I mean, heck, that 12-game winning streak they went on back, that long winning streak they went on back in July really helped them out in their cause.
I mean, it was amazing how quickly the Cubs at one point, going into that July, they were like up by 9 games. And then just like that, the Brewers, they just erased that gap and then took control of the NL Central. And they really haven't looked back. And this is a team to watch out for come October, of course. They'll be dangerous. Mm-hmm. Now, whether or not they'll make the World Series and win it all, it's a whole different story, of course. All we can do is just wait to find out. In terms of the Cubs, all right, we know they're going to play in October. I'm happy for them. I mean, they got to pop out the champagne and celebrate in the Pirates lock or in the Pirates Stadium of all places.
Remember the golden moment?
Yep. Hence that always comes to my mind. But now the thing is, all right, build momentum in these last 6 games. I mean, you got the Cincinnati Reds tonight. They got to take care of business against the Reds.
I think it's 9, actually. You got So, yeah, we're in that 9-game stretch now, basically. Every team's going to end on the 30th.
Oh, that's right.
So, yeah, you got the Reds coming up and down in Cincy for 3. Then you got 6 games at home, a couple against the Mets, and 3 against the Cardinals to close it out.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Cardinals and Mets to close it out. Those will be a really good series. And, of course, Cubs will end the regular season on a rivalry series. And keep in mind, another thing I wanted to point out, too, from what I remember, the Reds and the Cardinals, they're in that race for, like, that final wild card spot. And that series between the Reds and the Cardinals, absolute chaos there. So, whole lot going on the NL side of things, and as well as the American League. Just a whole lot to be decided. I have no doubt, again, that Tyler's team, the Detroit Tigers, are going to be in the playoffs. It's just a matter of where they're going to end up.
Yep.
When the dominoes all fall.
Yep. Do we have our set the number 2 wild card spot while Toronto claims the top, or do we play wild card games if a team like Houston or Seattle takes that over? We'll just have to wait and see what happens these next 9 games.
Indeed. And for the Cubs, they're probably going to end up as a wild card. Is it number 1? Is it 2? Or is it 3? That we're going to find out. The good news is, Cubs fans, the Chicago Cubs, they will have an October to play postseason baseball. Now, will it be an October to remember? We'll see.
Cleveland's also going to. I feel like Cleveland may have a chance to get in there. We'll see about that. But like I said, we'll see.
That's right, sports fans. But for now, whatever's left of the regular season, enjoy. Get to the ballpark. If you're planning on getting to the ballpark to watch some baseball, get to it while you can, especially if you're a fan of one of those teams who sadly isn't going to be playing in October.
And if you're if you're in October baseball, be ready to fork out a good amount depending on the round.
Oh yeah. All right, sports fans. I know what you want to talk about because I know Tyler wants to talk about it. Yep. Your Lions got the better of my Bears. I am aware of that. And honestly, while I'm not surprised that the Lions won that game against the Bears, that was a rout. And now I got to talk about the negative side of being a Bears fan. Not only are the Bears 0-2, right now, Bears fans like myself have lost hope for the season. It looks like it's another one of those years where we're constantly rebuilding, and it just feels like we're getting nothing done. Doggone it. Yeah, I see you laughing over there, Tyler. I know.
Welcome to
laugh at my pain. Laugh at my pain. I'm just giving you a hard time.
Welcome to the club. Because this was how it felt under Matt Millen for so long.
Matt Millen. Yeah, I remember that name. He, the architect behind the 2008 Lions, that Lions team that went 0-16.
No, I don't want to say you go. Yeah, I don't want to cast any aspiration that Ben Johnson's going to go 0-17 because I'm not that cruel. Oh, who am I kidding?
I was about to say, you want to see the Bears go 0-17. I mean, it could happen to the Bears sometime. I hope not under Ben Johnson if that's the case. But, I mean, under another haircut, I would expect that to happen under a guy like Matt Eberflus, Of course, Flus is no longer with the Chicago Bears.
Right after what happened last Thanksgiving.
Got himself canned for that masterclass of a last drive on Thanksgiving Day.
Canned in what? Pumpkin pie filling or cranberry?
I'd say it was worse than pumpkin pie and cranberry. Let's just go with that. But now, those thoughts aside, trying to stay focused. The Bears right now, they got a lot of questions to answer. I mentioned Rome Odunze being one of the only positive spots for the Bears. I mean, he had 2 touchdowns, and he's got 3 touchdowns on the season, so he's been a positive for the Bears. And I still really like what Ben Johnson's trying to do with this Bears organization, all right? Mm-hmm. Okay, Detroit, I know you want to forget about him. It's fine. Your team beat him down, all right? Mm-hmm. You won that game. So with that being said, I like Ben Johnson, all right? But there's no question in my mind he has got his work cut out for him, and way more than I think he thought he was going to have for himself. And you know what? He's got Ryan Poles to thank for that. Yeah, thanks, Ryan Poles. Come on, roster construction, all the important here. Good riddance.
Sheesh. now I really kind of do feel bad for him when you think about who the ownership of the team is. So really, I actually kind of do feel bad for him. But anyway, I was so glad with how the team went on Sunday. Goff didn't throw any picks. The offense was good. Defense was, oh man, especially that out of bounds throw that man to go into the Curry Jones, the man to read well and get into his arms. That was, depending on on the perspective, that was either an embarrassment if you're a Bears fan, or it was wonderful if you're a Lions fan. And it just what Sunday proved was a statement win for the Lions, and it reassured us fans that this team isn't going anywhere. Green Bay better be watch out. Yeah, they're 2-0, but they better not be thinking that that it's going to be easy for them going forward. We still got to face them in Detroit and Thanksgiving this year.
Exactly what I would have started my next point with. And talk about Nostradamus over here, projecting Kirby Joseph getting that interception. And, I mean, here's the thing. That interception also illustrates another point of concern for my Bears, and that's Caleb Williams. I mean, look, I don't want to give up on him, but the game that he had against the Vikings has really had me saying it's time to have serious conversations about Caleb Williams. Is he really the guy? Is he really the guy for the Bears? Shoot, is he Ben Johnson's guy? Or here's the thing. Caleb Williams, he's good about using his feet when he needs to and can make complete simple passes, but then there's other times where he just panics in the pocket, and then he can't hit the deep throws, and sometimes he can't hit the simple throws. And so here's the thing. It leaves me concerned. When you got a quarterback who can't even do the basics in a calm manner, that's when you start to wonder, did the Bears make the right choice when they drafted a quarterback back 2 drafts ago, especially when they could have gotten a guy like Jaden Daniels, or even you could have traded down in that draft and gotten a Michael Penix, who I kind of had a high opinion of at the time.
Now I'm kind of starting to see why Atlanta went with Penix. Although even if I'm still scratching my head on that pick because of Cousins. But regardless, I don't even know how to really fix Chicago. Outside from getting a competent GM involved. And no, I don't.
I just love that you brought that up. You know what, Tyler? I was going to say, if you knew how to do this, then you are smarter than probably 90% of the people out there. And you know what, Tyler? I don't have an answer for that question either. And you know what? Sadly, I don't think George McCaskey kind of has an answer for that. I mean, he's been through quite a few different GMs in the last few years, and none of them have really been able, at least from a long-term perspective, been able to put together a Bears team that can at least be competitive in the NFC, or at least I'd love to just get to I'd be happy with just getting to the playoffs every year, being competitive and having that hope that maybe, just maybe, we can go all the way, and then having my heart ripped out in the playoffs. I'd rather have that than just no playoffs at all. It feels like the Bears are stuck in this kind of purgatory, if that makes any sense.
Right.
Whereas Tyler's Lions, they've actually made the one major change that I think the Bears need to do. They had a massive shift in their ownership now, and look at where that's gotten them. They're a respectable team, and you know what? They've got hopes and dreams. Everybody wants the Lions to go to the Super Bowl, and that window is open for them. It still is, actually, as a matter of fact.
Mm-hmm.
I wish the Bears right now were where the Lions are at right now, admittedly.
Yeah, I mean, at least you have good company in the Vikings.
Well, they drafted J.J. McCarthy, and now he's going to be out for a while again. And the Vikings, another great team. They got great pieces in place at Minnesota. But I did wonder, was the quarterback going to be a question mark? And J.J. McCarthy. He showed potential in that first game against the Bears and then got hurt in the and now he's hurt again and probably going to be out a while. Oh, dear.
Ouch.
But the Bears right now, they're stuck, and it feels like they're just getting nowhere. I mean, I hope I'm wrong. I'm still willing to give Caleb Williams a chance, okay? I'm not ready to give up on him yet. I just have my concerns that maybe, just maybe, he's not the guy for Chicago. But, Caleb, if you're hearing this, prove me wrong, man. Prove me wrong. I want you to do it. Show me that there's more to you than I first saw, all right?
Now, for the Lions, now you're you're facing the Ravens now on Monday night. How are you going to be able to beat Lamar Jackson? The Ravens aren't exactly a pushover type of a team. They're definitely one to mess around with. They're definitely one that you don't want to take lightly at that. King Henry's going to be good, and they're definitely dominant in the AFC North for a good reason.
Yes, indeed. And you know what? If you're Detroit, hey, hang in there with the Ravens, all right? Just keep fighting for the full 60 because this is a Ravens team that, as talented as they are and as much of a juggernaut offensively as they are, and the defense is great, the problem is the Ravens have had a hard time playing the full 60, especially under John Harbaugh and with Lamar Jackson at quarterback. Why this is, I don't know. So as long as Detroit, as long as you can hang in there with Lamar Jackson and company, you're going to have a shot to win it because this is a Ravens team that, under Lamar Jackson, has a track record for struggling to play the full 60 minutes. And case in point, against the Buffalo Bills, should have easily won that game. They failed to play the full 60 minutes and got burned for that. But Lions are in good shape. They're back on track. And like I said, that Super Bowl window is still open, especially as long as they got the team that they have in place. And barring it, a whole lot of injuries, too.
Yes, we do not want all those injuries when we get into January football. They burned us pretty good against Washington for a reason.
No question about that. So the Chicago Bears right now, they're hoping to get their first win of the season. They're going to be playing the Dallas Cowboys, or Jerry's team as we like to call them, or America's team as some people like to call them. So big game for the Bears. I hope they can find a way to win. Hopefully this is the game where everything comes together. We'll find out.
Oh, who am I kidding? It's the Cowboys. You know how much favoritism they get. Prove me wrong.
Isn't that true? And I mean, you never know. Stephen A. has always said this about him. What can go wrong with the Cowboys will go wrong. You never know. I have hopes, but like I said, we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of other games, I mean, Buffalo played Miami last night, and I got to say, that was actually a lot more of a competitive game than I thought it was going to be. I actually benched Tyreek Hill on my fantasy football team. Big oops.
Ouch.
He got 15 points at the very least. I thought it was going to be kind of a slow night for Miami's offense, but they battled hard. And Buffalo, they had their hands full with this Miami Dolphins team. Just a couple of mistakes on the part of the Dolphins offense or actually one on each end of the football. A couple of mistakes. You had that block punt attempt, which led to a big penalty, and then Tua with the turnover, and that made pretty much all the difference in the game.
Yep. Those mistakes come back to bite you in ways you don't expect.
Yep, and everyone's talking about Tua. From this game, one of the big talking points is Tua Tagovailoa, or as some people jokingly like to call him, Tua turn the ball over.
Ouch.
Because unfortunately, he has become a quarterback that's prone to throwing interceptions. But the thing is, I'm just not sure Tua is really the same quarterback he was a few seasons ago. And in large part, I think he doesn't see the field as well, largely because he has had so many concussions. It's really concerning.
Yeah, that it is. I feel like his O-line is not actually protecting him well or something. I don't know.
Like, don't get me wrong. He has his moments where he still plays well, too. And like Tyler said, the O-line protects him. But I strongly believe these concussions that he has taken have really taken taken their toll on his football mindset, and perhaps because of that, he doesn't see the field as well as he used to. So I think Miami right now, this is a Dolphins team that's not only 0-3, but they're in a bit of a quarterback dilemma. They're trying to decide, should we continue going forward with Tua after the season, or do we have to start thinking about looking at another quarterback?
Not exactly an easy thing to think about.
Yep. I guess one more football-related thing. Rivalry game for the Purdue Boilermakers this weekend. They're playing the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. I'm hoping it's a competitive football game. I'm hoping we don't get killed like what happened last year when Purdue. I went to the Purdue Notre Dame game last year in West Lafayette, and Purdue just got absolutely blown out of West Lafayette like 66-7. It was that bad. And me and my guys, we were watching in what was a really hot day. So I'm hopeful with Barry Odom at the helm. I'm just hoping for a better game between Purdue and Notre Dame. Of course, game's in South Bend, so Purdue, it's a tall order for the Boilermakers to keep things competitive.
At least the drive won't be long.
Yep, that's true. Not too far from between West Lafayette and South Bend.
Nope.
All right. Shifting gears. So Tyler released this on, or at least he posted a photo or shared a photo to our Facebook profile on, or Two Guys Talk Sports on Facebook. Indycar released its schedule this week, and I took a good look at it. And folks, you can check online, and I'll try to post a link below to tell you all about or to show you what the schedule is going to look like for next year. And I just gotta say there's a lot to unpack with this schedule. Woo!
Let's get a few things out of the way first. No race in Mexico City because of the World Cup. The IndyCar race in Toronto being held in late August and in a suburb of the Greater Toronto area because of the World Cup as well. And also beyond that, 26 as well. No more racing at Exhibition Place for a while. And of course, no surprise of no one, there's no race in Washington, D.C. Turnaround would have been tight on that one, so I'm not surprised.
A race in Washington, D.C.
That was floating up in the rumors because of the lead up to the 250th anniversary.
I just had never heard anything about that rumor. Whew.
It died really quickly. So
I had a feeling it didn't sound like a very good idea. The logistics of it would have been just
yeah.
So here's some of my takeaways from this new schedule. Okay, so first of all, the biggest thing I've noticed, no Iowa on the schedule. After that catastrophe of an attendance nightmare at Iowa, IndyCar had no choice, but they had to drop Iowa from the schedule, so I'm not too surprised.
Not really as well. When you looked at what the TV audiences saw, yeah, ouch.
Yeah, just it was not a good look for IndyCar, and you know what? You got to cut your losses at that point. IndyCar, no choice but to drop Iowa from the schedule, and who returns into their place? How about Phoenix? Phoenix of all tracks. Just that shocks me because IndyCar left Phoenix a couple seasons ago for the same reasons that they dropped Iowa from the schedule. They had attendance troubles out there. Like they couldn't get people out in Arizona to come to the races. So here we go again. I hope the people actually show up at Phoenix because that is a great venue to have an IndyCar race. But the fans need to be there in order for it to work out for IndyCar.
Here's the thing. That race at Phoenix is going to get twinned up with the Xfinity Series race that night.
Oh, boy.
Free admission for both. One ticket gets you both races. So,
whoa.
I feel like that could be a promising start for the IndyCar race at Phoenix. That's going to be airing first, then the Phoenix race later in the night. But another thing I'm intrigued about, Nashville under the lights in July after the World Cup ends, with the final being the lead-in, and Laguna Seca back to hosting the championship in early September this time.
I also noticed that too, and I like the idea of Laguna Seca being the season finale, especially with the fan presence that IndyCar has around that area too. And Nashville Super Speedway, another track I really like for the IndyCar circuit, high banking and that stuff, good speeds. great choice again. And under the lights, even better. And I want to respond to something Tyler said. Free admission to both an IndyCar and an Xfinity race happening.
Well, I'm not saying it's free. I'm sure you have to buy a ticket still, but
Right.
regardless, I'm sure if you buy the Xfinity ticket, you get the other one. You get the other race free, and I'm sure vice versa.
Yeah, still to be able to go to buy a ticket, but that ticket gets you to both races. Okay, that's a win for both of those series, both the Xfinity series and of course the IndyCar series, and that's a win for the fans too, in a way.
Oh, and it's actually the O'Reilly Auto Parts series next year. The chain is taking over the Xfinity series sponsorship next year.
Learning something new every day.
Yep, but yeah. Like I said, Toronto in a new place in August, Mid Ohio and around 4th of July. No surprise there. And you have races in March, Long Beach in April. May is literally the Indy's month. I like what I'm seeing.
Honestly, so do I. And I mentioned this year's doubleheader in 2026 for IndyCar, Milwaukee Mile. Honestly, you can't go wrong with that. I really like the design of that track. Short, and that brings IndyCar's total of oval races to 6. So Tyler mentioned Nashville. You got the 2 at Milwaukee. And then you have, of course, the Indy 500, and then they're still racing in Illinois at WeatherTech Raceway.
Worldwide Technology.
Worldwide Technology.
Yep, that's the other nighttime race this year, I should point out.
Getting things mixed up. Another night race. And then, of course, Phoenix. 6 ovals.
Not bad.
Yeah, not bad at all. Good job, IndyCar. And I guess the final thing I wanted to point out in terms of the overall schedule, of course, you got your Indy 110th running of the Indy 500 in May. There's a new race on the schedule this year. How about this? The Grand Prix of Arlington. And we're talking Arlington, Texas. And this is no joke from what I looked up. They're going to be racing in front of Jerry World.
Yep. Fox knows what they're doing when they invested into the IndyCar, into the series. And also extended their contract into the 2030. Eric Shank, the president, is from the area, is from Indiana, so he knows auto racing and he knows about IndyCar. I think the series is in good hands with that.
I totally concur with Tyler. Switching over to Fox was one of the best decisions the IndyCar series has made. Fox is doing their part and to help grow the series. And my goodness, and you know what? I gotta wonder: did Jerry Jones have a hand in helping to plot out a Grand Prix in Arlington, Texas? I'm really starting to wonder that, because either way, I mean, good for him, and I'm curious to see how this race at Arlington turns out, racing around, AT&T Stadium, or Jerry World, as some people like to call it. I'm actually morbidly curious about how this race is going to turn out. I mean, it could be absolutely nuts and bolts, no joke or no pun intended. And honestly, like I said, the schedule that IndyCar has put out this year, when you look at all the things, from the new race at Arlington to the amount of ovals and then road courses, how everything it's a balanced schedule. It makes sense. It works for the IndyCar series. Can't wait to see how it all plays out next year.
Yep, and of course, every race on Fox, that's a big plus for the series going forward. And of course, you got some of the Indy qualifying on Fox too, as well, so for the 500.
Yes, indeed. And one final note I want to make, it doesn't relate to the IndyCar schedule, but it does relate to silly season in IndyCar. I want to give a huge congratulations to David Malukas. He is officially signed with Team Penske, and he will be taking up the seat that Will Power once sat in.
There's a lot of funny, silly season stuff going on. Colton Hurd has left for Formula 2 racing to try to eventually race for Cadillac F1, and which opens his spot. Will Power leaves Penske. He's now racing at Andretti in the spot that at Colton raced in, and now of course we have Malukas racing in the 12.
And I think the guy, Little Dave, as we like to call him. You know what? I wish him all the best at Penske. I think he's going to do wonderful. He's flashed that talent, at AJ Foyt Racing. So this is a well-deserved contract for him with Team Penske. And with Willpower going to Andretti actually makes sense for Willpower, because this is a chance for him to just kind of, take some of that pressure off of him and just enjoy pretty much what's going to be left of his IndyCar career. Because at some point, I think he's looking towards retirement, and I think he just wants to finish his career having all the fun he can. I think going to Andretti gives him the best chance to do that, at least in my opinion.
Yep, that it does. But yeah, we'll just have to really see how the schedule plays out next March. Having a month filled with racing after the fact that the month of March would be very much barren after St. Pete, so refreshing.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, the fact that we would start the race like in early March and then we'd have to wait till like the start of April, nevertheless, to get the season resumed, it never made any sense to a racing fan like myself. Like, if you're going to get the season started, then just start the season in April, okay? Like, we can't, the gap between like the first race and then the 3 weeks later, another race, it never made any sense. I get it. You have March Madness. You know March Madness is going to get all the views, but at that point, it'd be better just to start the season, after March Madness.
Well, hey, it finally fixes that, so all is good.
Well, thank heaven for that. All right, sports fans, that is going to be all the time we have for this week's Friday Roundtable. Now, before we sign off, Tyler Lavalette, happy early birthday, my man.
Thank you very much. I will be turning 33 on Monday, or if you are watching this later, past Monday, September 22nd, I will already be 33 by then. So, again, that depends on when you are watching this video, when it's uploaded.
Absolutely. I just figured I might as well get this message out before our next Friday Roundtable. But happy birthday to one of the greatest friends I've ever had and one of the hardest working guys I've ever known. He's like a brother to me. Tyler Lavalette, enjoy your special day on the 22nd, my man, because you deserve it.
Thank you.
And once again, hey, everybody, to those who watch, give a shout out to my man, Tyler Lavalette. He's turning 33 on the 22nd. And happy birthday, Tyler.
Again, thank you.
All right. With that message out of the way, sports fans, me and Tyler, we hope you enjoyed this week's Friday Roundtable. Anything you want to say, leave it in the comments below. Any questions you have for us, we'd love to try and answer questions for you someday, and maybe even in the next podcast. Now, with that being said, special thanks to the early birthday boy over here, Tyler Lavalette.
Thank you.
And everybody who works so hard in the studio here in Waterford. And follow us on Two Guys Talk Sports and other things on YouTube for more content like this, and follow us on Two Guys Talk Sports on Facebook for more things. And with that being said, we're going to say goodbye for now. This is Jake Waxman.
And Tyler Lavalette.
Wish you all a good weekend. Enjoy the football, everyone. Bye now.